So Donald Trump's back from that long trip away in Asia, and I'm so happy I missed him. I hope he brought us some gifts. Remember that, when Dad would come back from a sales conference and always brought you a toy? My dad did a lot of traveling, though I never really knew why. But no matter what, he always brought home a gift for me and my sisters. He got me this fun doll on a trip to Cleveland. Gave me body lice. Then there was this neat sleeping pod from Detroit. He would put me in there for what he called emergency naps. And then this really cool chair from Chicago. Oh, how it hurt. So what gifts did President Trump bring us from his Asian jaunt? Well, he had some very productive meetings with world leaders. So he brought home stronger ties with our allies. Even better, we got China to send an envoy to North Korea. This is pretty big. We've moved the ball forward and did so on our terms. Compare this to President Obama's idea of diplomacy, where we apologize and they burn only half our flag. And of course, there were those basketball players caught shoplifting in China. Boo, yeah, oh, terrible. It's embarrassing for us. What, are Chinese products that much better than ours? What part of Shoplift America First don't you understand? Shoplifting is bad, unless, of course, it's at Hot Topic. I kid, Hot Topic. There's nothing worth stealing there. And their employees are so gloomy. Clearly, someone had a phase. Anyway, Trump stepped in and got the players out, and then wondered if he would get a thank you from the freed UCLA basketball players. He got this.
To President Trump and the United States government, thank you for taking the time to intervene on our behalf. We really appreciate you helping us out.
I'd also like to thank President Trump and the United States government for the help that they provided as well.
And thank you to the United States government and President Trump for your efforts to bring us home.
Yes. And you can tell those statements were totally unprepared. Anyway, and then he tweeted a 2-page "You're welcome" to them. Have a great life, he said. Be careful out there. Now, that's not your buddy's dad doing that. That's the president of the United States. And then he chided the players for not also thanking the Chinese leader because he's, awesome. But this is a good lesson for American kids. The world isn't like us. In America, theft is conflated with protest. Elsewhere in the world, you could lose a hand, which I don't condone sometimes. Anyway, what did the media focus on instead?
Thank you. Oh. They don't have order. That's okay. What? No, it's okay. Oh.
Oh. It crashed Twitter. Let's watch it again. I gotta say, that's pretty commanding. He's like a hawk swooping down to snatch a prairie dog. It's also funny because he's talking about North Korea at the time, and the media only sees the water. But if that's all you can joke about, life is pretty good for Donald Trump. But not everyone cares, especially when there's breaking news to be broken.
Those teeth are still waiting for somebody to claim them. Somebody left these false teeth behind in these teeth in a Portland, Maine voting booth on Election Day a week ago tonight. Now, a very helpful elections clerk scooped them up and kept them safe. The owner of the teeth that have been found, such that he or she is not missing these teeth even a week later.
Mind-blowing TV. Definitely more important than trade, North Korea, and a bustling economy. Yes, indeed, someone forgot their dentures. Until they find the owner, I'd keep them away from Al Franken.
Period.
Yes, it's true. Let us welcome tonight's guest. He's so patriotic. When he's sad, he's red, white, and blue. Fox and Friends weekend co-host Pete Hegseth. He's sharp and funny like a scalpel that squirts water into your organs. His latest comedy album is called We're All Adults Here. Writer and comedian Chris Freed. She's the last with unlimited sass. National Review reporter Kat Timpf. And finally, the monster under his bed has nightmares about him. Former bodyguard and my massive sidekick, Tyrus. All right. Pete, how do you think he did on his trip? And what did you like most about it?
I thought it was excellent. On a serious note, what I liked most about it is it was an actual Asian pivot, unlike what the other Obama administration said they were going to do.
Right.
Never did. Let China expand their influence in that region, as they have since economically and militarily. And he scrapped TPP at the beginning of his administration, which was meant to be in some ways a check against China. He said, no, this is an international scheme that actually entraps us more. Why don't we build individual relationships with all these countries?
Yeah.
Re-level the trade playing field. This trip was about trade and an honest conversation about how they've taken advantage of us, and about checking China militarily. I think it accomplished those two in the beginning steps. So I think it was fantastic. It's great to see a world leader stand up and say, I represent my country first, just like you're going to represent yours.
All right. Chris, what was your take on the whole basketball thing?
I like the parental analogy that you did, where he comes home from a trip with gifts. It's like my dad never brought me 3 basketball players and called my Korean bullies short and fat while I was gone between meetings. That's cool. But no, I like with the dude, like, it's fun because with families, he gets to choose, in this analogy, he gets to choose which family members he doesn't talk to at home. Like, they go, oh my God, hey, Uncle Roy Moore's, and he goes, I got a meeting, I can't. Not so much talking about that.
Yeah, it's so good, Tyrus, in a way that all the bad stuff happened kind of when he was away, so he doesn't have to deal with it. Oh, that happened while I'm on the trip.
So you guys all had dads? Damn. Now, you know what, man? It was... Come on, man. You know,
I can't help. That's a funny joke, even though it's true. Anyway.
All these dad stuff. I was like, man, I got nothing but genes. DNA. The trip, I thought, he went on a business trip.
Yeah.
We elected a businessman, and this is what happens when businessmen go on business trips. We had 8 years of diplomacy. We had 8 years of our bad. We'll try better. We'll give you hugs. Now it's business, and it came out very good for America. And he got, like I said, he got the basketball kids home, and it was more like a scolding.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
You know, I think if he was allowed to, he would have spanked them. But that,
yeah, he would have.
You know, like hashtag ass whipping when I see you guys on the other side. You know better than to be stealing. You know, and I think it was great. You know, and one thing he did that I thought was phenomenal. He stayed focused, which is difficult for him sometimes.
Right.
On the trip.
Right.
All the media on this side was throwing. They were fishing anything to get him to bite and talk and get off task. Nah, I'll deal with it when I get home. Phenomenal trip. Well done, Mr. President.
Kat, you can comment on whatever you want. His hydration method, his style, the basketball players, the kind of job he performed. What is your overall take in this?
Well, about the water thing?
Yeah.
I think that it's actually fine to drink water.
Excellent.
Like, what do we want, a dehydrated president? You
That
can't
is
have
true.
that.
That is
Of course, he did make fun of Marco Rubio for drinking water, but it's still fine. I just want to know if he drank the water like that for the camera, or if that's how he drinks water when he's alone.
No, that was a defiant. That was a defiant.
When he
water
did,
thing.
yeah, he
That
just went
was
up and he went like he twisted it like he was twisting the head off a doll.
or in this case, a media guy.
Yes, yes, yes.
He has great performer instincts, which is a running theme, because he does. He knows that he charismatically sips. He's making everyone wait, and he goes.
Like, that's
the whole
true.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Very Clint Eastwood.
Hydration is important.
It is important, and I think it's serving as an example to other people who don't drink enough water. You know, my point is that I think that, like, Donald Trump, and I'll leave it, Kat, just to you to follow up, his personality is suited for this kind of job. Everybody was looking for him to be a certain way after Charlottesville, right? That's not who he is. He's not going to give you the group hug, but he's going to go out and deal with international Dr. Evils. That's he's hired to go out there and be a jerk.
Yeah, he dealt with it really well when all the headlines were either like, okay, well, this might not be such a big deal or might not be that great, and then the president drinks water. Yes, me too.
President overfeeds the koi pond.
Yes.
You know, like
yes.
that was a headline for a day and a half.
Exactly.
Until we rolled tape on the Japanese prime minister doing the same thing.
The same thing. And by the way, I've had it with koi fish. Why are you guys so important? You're still fish, right? You can't drive.
You can't say that about fish. You need to apologize.
Do I need to apologize?
Yeah, I'm not going to have to testify against you. Please apologize to fish.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see the importance of expensive fish.
Where's that slippery slope end, though? Then dogs?
Dogs, that's true. That's true. Dog fish. I don't know. Republicans tend to achieve more on a global front than Democrats, I think. Because
they have a coherent view of the world. They believe America is an exceptional and special place, that without a strong America, the world is chaos.
Yeah. Chris, the other thing I noticed is that Trump is the confirmation bias flashlight. So it's like no matter what happens, like, so if something good happens, it's pure luck that it happened. Yeah. If something bad happens, it's his disposition. It's like, oh, he's just evil. So, like, something good happens, like the basketball players. Well, that's bound to happen. If something bad happens, it's because he's just a jerk.
Yeah. I do think the demeanor of them and how they said it almost as if Trump called them and said, I'm not letting you out unless you say it's me. It's like, they were just like, yeah,
that's true.
Thanks to Trump, he did that.
Yeah.
We stole some stuff.
I kind of felt that they had a stern, and they're still suspended. I mean, they're
indefinitely. Yeah, they're scholarships.
Well, I don't know. I think they,
as it should be.
I think they learned a lesson, and in a way, I think we all learned a lesson about shoplifting. That shoplifting, it's not cool, kids. It's not cool to take things that aren't yours, okay? Somebody built that, and that store owner makes a profit of it, all right? And I didn't shoplift.
Today.
In China.
Oh, today.
All right. Despite the fear, we made it a year. But does Trump deserve praise at 365 days? Last week was the one-year anniversary of the election of Mr. Trump. Some chose to scream at the sky. Now, I'm thinking their childhood birthday parties were sparsely attended. Others, though, took time to reflect, like me.
He says this when all of it comes down to relax and sit in the jacuzzi, you feel like it and you hate.
Oh, that feels great. Whether you love him or hate him, you must admit there's been no one like Trump. Part celebrity, part guy who might have you killed. He may be the most entertaining political figure since Caligula. This is where I cue the montage.
It's called Make America Great Again. You see what's going on.
So how does the press treat you?
I hope they're showing how many people are in this room, but they won't. They don't even do that. Vote for Big Luther Strange.
And we have the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake that you've ever seen.
Coming from a different world and only being a politician for a short period of time, how am I doing? Am I doing okay? I'm president. Hey, I'm president. Can you believe it?
But he's not just a president. He's your outspoken cab driver. He's your rich uncle and your delinquent son. He's your boss, barber, and bartender, always with an opinion, a crude joke, and probably a gun. And he loves his meat well done.
In the land of the rising sun, where exotic food and uncooked delicacies abound, one man dared to have it his way.
Instead of ordering sushi or tempura, the man orders a well-done cheeseburger.
It's the story of one man's quest to stay consistent on every corner of the planet. Now he's introducing the Far East to some tough all-American meat with plenty of heat. Short man on a unicorn on a surfboard hanging 10 while singing the alphabet backwards films presents Shinzo Abe, Donald Trump, with a special appearance by Jaleel White as Steve, Beef Patty Rebel, Rising Sun, well done.
But at this juncture, we should ask, how is he doing? Which really means, how are we doing? Let's look at this otter eating at a table. Because the news is so good, who needs a handy chart to tell you? The otter tells you everything you need to know. Things are great. Stock market's rallying. We got 1 million new jobs. Consumer confidence is way up. ISIS is decimated. Pipelines are pumping. Then there's Neil Gorsuch, plus 12 other judges in lower courts. Regulations are rolled back. Illegal immigration is down by nearly half on the southern border. And those Paris Accords were flushed down like a costly turd. Not a bad list, right, Mr. Otter, huh? Yeah, just not along. But we also saw a ton of fighting. It was a bit much, often becoming personal at times, but maybe it was warranted. Conflict has always been a one-way street. The left dishes it out, and the rest of us take it. But Trump gives it back and doesn't give a damn. He's more OG than Snoop, Ice Cube, and Ice-T combined. He's especially fearless to the media, who just can't figure it out.
Don't be rude.
You're attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
The fact of the matter is, we're not fake media.
I'm talking about dangerous as in a journalist gets hurt.
Poison. That's what it is. It's a verbal form of poison, meant to affect your view of the media world.
I think he has rage-related hair loss. Poor Brian. But I believe that we have actually learned more about governance than ever before under Trump, because nothing is hidden and everything becomes a target. It's a poli-sci class taught by Rambo. But while I'm hopeful, the year's not over, and his tax plan, it bugs me. I'm a 2T guy. It's all about terror and taxes, and his work on terror, it gets an A. But with taxes, I feel kind of like this fella.
Go get it. Go.
Go. Go. Go, Cooper.
I'm right with you, little fella. Still, it's not a bad start. I'd say that we are all better off, including the screamers, even if they're too busy screaming to actually hear it. Let's welcome tonight's guests, shall we? The only Stein I like more is the one filled with beer. Author, political commentator, host of The Mark Stein Show, Mark Stein. He's not just my favorite host, but my favorite sandwich. Creator and host of The Rubin Report, Dave Rubin. If you ask her for her sign, she'll say dead end. National Review reporter, Kat Timpf. And an airplane hangar is his pup tent. Former bodyguard of my massive sidekick, Tyrus. All right. Yes. All these gang signs going on here. I'm a little scared. All right, Mark. It's been a year and the planet is still here. Are you surprised?
No, I loved him most when he was dancing with those Saudi princes. I've waited all my life for a man who knows how to dance with Saudi. I can't imagine John Kasich or Jeb Bush trying to dance with those. And it's good. It's a great show, Dancing with the Sauds. Have you seen it? It's like a big show over there.
Really?
And, yeah, Dancing with the Sauds. It's a great show.
What happens if you lose?
Well, that's not so.
Yes.
That's not so good.
There's a stadium for that.
Yeah, in the semi-final, they chop one of your feet off, and that makes it all a lot more difficult.
Oh, that's terrible. All right, Dave, how do you feel? Is the country better or worse or the same?
Well, Greg, you know I always do a lot of research before I join you here, and I checked, and actually everything that Trump has done, including the tweets, is exactly the same thing as the first year of Hitler in 1933. But
He's joking.
That was Twitter did not exist in 1933. If you were following along, it just feels that way because it's so terrible.
Exactly.
But actually, think about it. I mean, when I was watching that montage, it was actually making me like Trump more because think about it. This guy has all the money in the world, all the power in the world, could do whatever he wants, and he has subjected himself to sitting at a desk with Halloween candy and these kids. You saw the thing, he called that one kid fat accidentally, and then he's dancing with Saudi princes, and it's like he could do anything he wants. He actually must want to do this.
Yeah, no, I think he reached that age where he doesn't give a damn, and like he's done everything he wants. So he's a 70-year-old man who's like, what the heck? I'll try this for a couple of years. If it doesn't work out, I can play golf. And I mean, that's actually probably the best attitude maybe for a president. Tyrus, I feel like when I'm looking at what's going on, I feel like it's like Lollapalooza. It's not a presidency. There's like 3 concert stages all playing at the same time. And it's like there's the media, there's Trump, there's the parties. It's like so much is happening in so little time.
Yeah.
That wasn't really a question.
Yeah, I'm looking for the questions. So I'm just going to wing it. I will tell you, you know what it is? He has changed the conversation in this country.
Yeah.
I've been lifting weights with the same group of guys for about 10 years. And we always talked about football, women in positive terms, and sports, and maybe complain about a bill or a nagging elbow.
Yes.
Not anymore.
No, it's all Trump.
We talking about taxes. We're talking about, you know, like, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And I don't know. That's a good idea. I wouldn't do that. You know, like, he's changed. He's brought politics into the living room. It's become the new national pastime. You know, the NFL and the NBA and their ratings are down because everyone's involved in what's going on in our government.
Interesting.
So I don't necessarily know if that's a bad thing.
I never thought of that. I thought it had to do with other things, but it's because people are more.
We're all talking about it.
Yeah.
Every move he makes, someone says, "Look what he just did," and then you look and be like, "Well, I'm cool with that."
Kat, what are your? It's never as bad as people say things are, but it's never as great as people says things are. So it's probably okay.
Right. Well, the left set the bar pretty low when he was elected.
Yes.
So
He was Hitler.
Seeing as we're all here and we're breathing, we're not trapped in a bunker subsisting on like bean water, then we're doing a lot better than they predicted. But some of my favorite things have been the scandals that aren't scandals. Like, can we bring up that picture of my favorite thing to happen since he's been president? This was my favorite thing.
Yes.
People were so mad, but that's exactly how I sit at my desk. Because you know what? I have too much stuff to do to worry about manners and things like that. So I am very, very happy to see that represented in the White House.
You're a knee sitter.
Knee sitting, it needs to be excused.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a skill. I can't. I sat on both my knees. I'd be in a wheelchair.
So everyone was just jealous.
I think, though, too, I think there's another side to politics that we're learning, is that Trump has taught you not to take it as seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was the fantastic. I mean, I will never forget, whatever it was, 9:57 on election night. All the people who know everything, in the space of 6 minutes, turned out to be wrong.
Including me.
The Democrats, the media, the celebrities, and half the Republican Party. And what I loved about him is he had no consultants. He spent less money to get elected than anybody since Benjamin Harrison. He had no ground game. He had no ads. He'd just walk on stage and start riffing about how Macy's stock price had tanked since they dumped Trump ties. And it turned out. People like Karl Rove said, "Oh, you can't do this. This isn't the way you're meant to do it."
Yeah.
And he did it, and it worked. It was fantastic.
Last word.
Well, I like that he's exposed who the crazy people are, because every one of us knows people with Trump derangement syndrome. It's actually a mental condition that I've started just rubbing off the tea on Tylenol and handing to my friends. Like, take a couple of these, you might be okay.